A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286, Patricia and David, and unfortunately I have to report that our weather is not as good as it was yesterday. We have had rain on and off, and the temperature is, well, I guess it's not too bad. It's 18 degrees, and the bar is steady on 1020. We've got a northerly wind. Well, it's a bit of east in it. We'll call it northeast. And there's not much of it around. It's about 7 or 8 knots. So all is well with Magic Dragon heading south. About an hour ago, Josh and crew were at, well, just off the Northland coast, 3631 and 17236 east, doing 5 knots on a course of 175 true. They have 13 knots of northerly wind. It's overcast like here, and just a moderate seas. They're sailing along with the poled out Genoa and a jibe prevented double reef main. So all care being taken to arrive in a fit state in Nelson, and they are just continuing to be very, very lucky. I'm going to ask, I don't think I will be able to, they won't be able to hear me, so I'm going to ask if Kimbo is on frequency, if you could give a call to Magic Dragon and tell Josh we got his 5 o'clock report, and just check that all is well. Kimbo, how copy Gulf Harbour Radio?
Gulf Harbour Radio, here is Kimbo back. Yep, got good copy there, Trish. I'll give Magic Dragon a call. Magic Dragon, there is a Kimbo, now copy, over. Nothing there, Trish. There's somebody turning up though, over.
Oh, roger that. And did you get your southwest blow up there in New Caledonia, over?
No, negative. It's been a bit flaky actually. It was meant to be northeast, and they changed the forecast, and we had a little system come through which went through the west, and now we're back in the south.
Oh, well, where did you end up going to then?
L1, Trish, over.
Oh, good show. Yep. All right, sounds good. You'll be enjoying it a bit more. All right. Thank you for the help there, Peter. And I will now go to, let's have a look, Sweetwaters, Gulf Harbour.
This is Sweetwaters. Do you copy?
Yeah, nice copy. Thanks, Livia. And, yep, go ahead with your position. All's looking well for you. Go ahead.
We are 3438 south, 17340 east. Course of around 145 degrees 2. Wind is 13 knots from the north. Outspeed 5.5 knots. Undersailing, sustained in non-making water. Swell is 1 meter from the north. Barometer is 1020. All well on board. Everybody's happy, and our ATA is tomorrow morning. Over.
You've done very, very well. So ETA tomorrow morning, and just writing that down. And Sweetwaters is currently at 3438 south, 17340 east, 145 true at 5.5 knots with 13 knots of northerly wind, just a bit more than we've got here. 1 metre northerly swell, 1020. Have you had any rain yet, over?
Oh, beautiful blue sky. Over.
Oh, that's interesting. It hasn't got to you yet. Yeah, it's just sort of coming up from the southwest on us now. It's a lot worse further down the country. Well, you'll be able to prime yourself ready for very high costs of petrol, food and everything else. So I hope you've had a really, really relaxing trip, and look forward to talking to you when you arrive back at Gulf Harbour. Over.
Oh, yeah. We are getting on the mood to be back again. So thank you guys again, and talk to you tomorrow. Over.
Okay, well, we'll see whether we can copy you tomorrow, but if not, I'm sure you'll be relaxing somewhere. Okay, I'm not sure that I've got too many others that are going to be responding because people have come in today. But is there anybody else wanting to make contact with Gulf Harbour Radio?
Gulf Harbour, Shanti, over.
Oh, I've got Shanti tonight. That's really interesting. Go ahead, over.
Hi Patricia, yeah, we're still in Minerva. I've been playing with electrical connections all day long and I'm really pleased that you can hear me. Over.
Well, that just shows you there must have been something. It's always connections, isn't it? So, yeah, I wouldn't say you're blowing my ears off, but it's certainly very, very clear and absolutely not a problem being able to copy you. So, boy, that's really good news that all is going well, Will. How many boats there now and what's the weather like? Over.
We've got about 12 boats here and the weather is 20 knots from the gusting, 28 I think already. And 70 waves cover. Well, banging on the outside of the reef, but I don't know how big it is. Over.
Oh, okay. I guess it's not weather for going picnicking on the reef today. 20 easterly, gusting 28 with 80% cloud cover. Yep, I know there's been, we've had some correspondence with boats that are tossing and turning whether to leave Tonga, but certainly those sorts of conditions at Minerva make it not very pleasant, although you can catch up on your energy levels, read a book, and just gradually get to know other people. It can be a very social place to be, Minerva. That's the way I remembered it anyway. So, okay, well, good work on what you've been doing. At least instead of being in the water, you've certainly done well with improving the radio signal. So that's good, Will. So, yeah, what else did I want to say? Yeah, nothing much else, but hi to Karen as well. Okay, we'll clear with Shanti. Is there anybody else before I pass the microphone to David? No, nothing heard, and he's been looking at what's coming ahead and tearing his hair out a bit because a few days ago he was quite happy that all the models were green and now they're not, so he's not very happy to look out too far ahead. It's interesting, some people from the Hapais, and I have got a paper it's actually under Flotsam, not under Weather, in the Gulf Harbour Radio website, talking about, the various decisions to make if you are in Tonga. And I suppose much the same applies to Fiji. But if you're a foreign boat, don't forget that when you come to New Zealand, you get 3 + 3 months per courtesy of customs and immigration. So if you arrive too early, you end up having to leave pretty smartly in May, which may or may not suit the weather gods. So it's not a trip to be rushed if it's not really sensible. We were just reminiscing, David and I, about the trips that we've had from the islands. And, it's very hard to get a perfect one. I personally, from a crew point of view, I can only remember one perfect passage in all the times that we've done it. And that was, in fact, from the Hapais. We'd come into the Hapais. We didn't actually check into Tonga. We'd just come from Niue and stopped to wait for some weather and left with another boat on the Sunday. I remember that because they were going to go and do the churchy thing. And we had the most brilliant passage from the Hapais. It was just right direction, sort of 15 knots max. One day we even barbecued on the back of the boat while we were sailing along. I mean, it was one of those just unbelievable passages. but they are few and far between. So it's a matter of deciding what you really want. And I'm going to pass the microphone now and see what David has got from a weather perspective.
Well, wouldn't it be nice to have that? Oh, boy. Well, I can tell you this. The things that I told you yesterday about, well, we were talking about leaving on Monday, and I made a projection of what the halfway weather would be on Wednesday. And then I stuck my head out even further and talked about what arrival on the 27th would be like. Well, the only model that agrees with that is the Australian model. The rest of them don't. And this is not surprising. We're looking or trying to guesstimate what's going to happen 10, 11, 12 days out. And frankly, you just really can't go past 5 on the models to get any kind of an agreement with them. And that's about how it stands now. I'm looking at 5 days from now and looking at 4 models, and they all are pretty much in agreement out to 5 days. After that, though, they all start to change and change radically. It's quite interesting. And like I say, the only one that makes it a decent passage is the Australian models. And it's just too far out to be sure, to be quite frank with you. We're going to have to really honestly wait until probably Saturday, maybe Friday, but probably Saturday to make any decisions on Monday or whatever. Certainly right now, the weather does not look good leaving earlier. So that is something that they tend to agree with in that regard. So anyway, not really much to tell you other than we are just really going to have to wait and see how the weather changes. This is probably one of the hardest months to project any kind of a reasonable window. October is just notorious. It's the old expression, the equinoctial gales. Well, I don't see too many gales at the moment, but it does mean that the weather is going to be quite changeable and not to the good either. So the other thing about October is on average, it's the windiest month of the year, and that has to do with the equinoctial period. And not to further add to the confusion is the El Nino arrival, which is changing things altogether. And we're seeing what El Nino is doing. The highs are all up around 30 degrees, and the really nasty depressions are as far south as 50 degrees south, the center of them. And that is typical El Nino type conditions. And winds here in New Zealand, at least, the winds are basically westerly to southwesterly during El Nino. So that's what our summer is going to look like. So anyway, we'll look again tomorrow. The model updates are not going to be happening for another couple of hours yet. It's a shame that our net is a little bit early with regard to that, but I expect to see some changes in the next model runs. And of course, I'll be looking at it tomorrow. And tomorrow night at this time, tell you what I see. So as it stands now, if you do leave on a Monday, coming up Monday, there are going to be periods where there's not much wind at all. It may be on the nose, but looking like 8, 10 knots like that. So really motoring to a large extent, or motor sailing if you're able to do that. So no real nasty winds at this point that I could see starting on Monday and going out about 5 days from there. But anyway, like I said, we'll know a little bit more tomorrow, a little bit more the next day, and really, it's going to be Friday or Saturday before I could really give anything with any confidence. Right now, I don't have a lot of confidence on what I see. So that's the story, and that's just the way it goes. So anyway, I hope you get a few nice days in Minerva. It's a lovely place. We've always loved it when we've been there. We've been there many, many times. So anyhow, with that, here's the Chiefs.
Well, that was a bit of a procrastination, if you don't mind my saying so. But it does sound as if November would be a good time to hold out for, with nothing much happening except for those that are sort of on the way and don't mind a bit of motoring. I am going to call for Melina Bonatti. Melina Bonatti, are you on frequency? Over. They were going to be on air. They have left Fiji today by the look of the AIS, so maybe they're still getting their sea legs. But yes, it's a little bit difficult. I always think it's good if you're really tossing and turning just to go away for another week and do something interesting rather than hang around getting paralysis analysis. Here's David with something more.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. You may recall yesterday I talked about when I was looking at the real long-range progs, I was picking up the possibility of a tropical cyclone forming up to the northwest of New Caledonia. Today, almost all of the models I'm looking at, 5 of them actually, are picking this up. So it's a nasty little thing, quite small. It's probably not going to amount to much. It's not going to affect you folks in Tonga or Minerva. In fact, it may just dissipate after it forms and plays its game for a day or two. But yeah, they're agreeing that something's going to happen, and it's not unusual. It's happened before. But there is one example of the models in agreement looking quite far out. And who knows? They may all be wrong and nothing happens. So we'll know more. Here's the Chief.
Oh, well, there you go, Peter. You'll be able to have a look at that one. It will affect New Caledonia by the look of it. And certainly there has not been much of an exodus from New Caledonia today. Okay, another call. Is there anybody else to join us? Over. Nothing heard. And Peter, if we've got a lot that will be too close for me, they may have given up by now, but could you put out a call, akimbo, for any boats not copying net control wanting to check in? Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, Roger, Gulf Harbour. This is akimbo. Relay for Gulf Harbour. Any boats that can't copy Gulf Harbour and want a relay, please go ahead, over. No, nothing there, Trent. Pretty quiet. And I made a mistake. We're not at Hill. We're at Ware. And I just had a senior moment, over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wondered why you would go back there when you'd only just left there, really. Okay, Clary. And yeah, we haven't heard anything from Tuaki on his way to the Louisiades, but I suspect he's messed up the time a little bit. Okay, all right, folks. Well, we'll go back to looking out the gloomy sight outside. Very grey and miserable. Not much world news to report. President Biden is actually on his way to Gaza, believe it or not, to try and help with the negotiations there. They still haven't, the Israelis have still not invaded, but they're still sending rockets to and fro each other. And what else is the news?
Labour's crying.
What was that?
Labour's crying.
Oh yes, Labour is sort of licking their wounds and trying to put a brave face on the election results here. And the new people in the New Zealand Parliament have arrived. but nothing really can be done until these 500,000. It's amazing that there's a 500,000 special votes, but anyway, we are a country of people that move around, so those 500,000 votes have to be counted. Evidently, they have not favoured the Nats in the past, so it could be interesting, and there are a couple of seats that are swinging fairly closely with the numbers. So by the time many of you get here, I think the November 3 is the date that everything has to be completed by. So that's the story there. Okay, folks, this is Gulf Harbour Radio. We are clear, and if anyone wants the frequency, it is all yours.